All right. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Congratulations on being a new matriculant to UCLA. It's a big deal, the accomplishment that you have already made by earning a seat at UCLA in one of the 8 programs here tonight. My name is Dylan Stafford. I'll say a little bit more of a welcome in a few minutes, but I'm just thrilled on behalf of all of us. We have an interdisciplinary team, and you'll get to meet us all here in just a moment. But before we get any further, just congratulations. Welcome to UCLA. We are all of the opinion that UCLA is one of the premier and special university opportunities on the entire planet. And the fact that you are joining us for your graduate study, we don't take that lightly. We don't take that for granted. And we are thrilled to have this conversation with you tonight. So I'm going to ask my colleagues to advance the slide, and we're going to get right into it. So if we could advance. So welcome to Leadership Lab number 1. We're going to have a fun, rich conversation tonight. Leadership begins with leading myself is the tagline from the material we'll share with you tonight. To keep it really UCLA, we will quote our famous basketball coach, John Wooden, who liked to say, failure to prepare is preparing to fail. And we want 100% of you tonight, plus all of the other classmates in your programs. We want you to succeed this fall. We want this to be the best academic quarter in your academic journey so far. We want you to launch yourself into your graduate study at the best trajectory, the trajectory for you that stretches you, that pulls you forward. We really are all about you winning. That's what tonight is about. And we want to give you some context. That's the name of our session tonight, the power of context, to look at yourself with some new eyes. Maybe leaders see differently than people who are just sort of going about the day-to-day, the tranquilized obvious, the petty pace of life. We want to open up the horizon, the trajectory that you are looking at your future with as you look at UCLA. So tonight is number 1 of 3 series. We'll have some more people admitted. Some people are transcripts getting finalized in my program over in the Anderson School of Management. So hopefully we'll have even more people join us 2 weeks from tonight and 4 weeks from tonight for the 2nd and the 3rd leadership labs. But for tonight, on behalf of all of us, we are an interdisciplinary team, and we want to provide this networking opportunity for you tonight as you prepare for academic success in whichever of the programs you're a member of. So as you see from our display of logos, we have the Anderson School of Management, the UCLA School of Dentistry, the Fielding School of Public Health, UCLA's Luskin School of Social Welfare, the David Geffen School of Medicine, and the School of Nursing. So all 6 of these programs, we have 8 actual participating programs here tonight. And there are over 125 different graduate programs of study at UCLA. And I think tonight you all represent a very special 8. We did this very same lab a year ago, just at the outset of COVID. And we thought about it last year, and it's even more true. You are the future. You are the people and your endeavors who have the chance that we don't have to have a pandemic again in the future. If you look at who's here tonight, we have future leaders in public health, in medicine, in nursing, in dentistry, in management, in social welfare. You are the generation that will look at the next pandemic before it arises, learning from the lessons learned of this pandemic, that we can avoid it altogether, that we can shorten it, that we can deal with it more effectively. So that's a context that gets me out of bed in the morning, knowing that graduate students at UCLA play big games and make big impacts in the world for years and years and decades to come. So welcome to Leadership Lab number 1 from myself. And if we could advance the slide, I'd like to introduce you to our team, our committee, our cross-campus group of peers. And you've heard enough of me, so we'll go just left to right, top to bottom. And I'd like to let all of our program leadership have a chance to welcome you on behalf of UCLA overall and specifically to each of the programs here tonight. So Elisa, with no further ado, would you please begin?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dylan, and welcome to everyone here this evening. I'm Elisa Lopez with the David Geffen School of Medicine, and I want to welcome each of you. We're so delighted that you could be with us here.
Thank you, Elisa. And we'll follow with phonetically similar yet spelled differently, Elisa Turkowitz.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm so glad to be here tonight representing the Master of Financial Engineering program at Anderson. And I'm really excited. This is my first time participating in the Leadership Lab as well, as I am also new to the Anderson community. I started about 6 months ago. So I'm very excited to be with all of you today and to Dylan for leading this great session. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Elisa. And welcome to UCLA also. You know what it's like to be brand new. Anna, could you say some words?
Sure. So welcome everyone. My name is Ana Guzman. I'm the Director of Student Services here at the UCLA School of Dentistry. I really do look forward to meeting some of our incoming students, and I'm excited that you all get this opportunity to network and meet everyone else. So enjoy the conversation.
Thank you, Anna. Liz.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Dylan. Hi, everyone. My name is Liz Izquierdo. I'm the Associate Dean for the Fielding School of Public Health. And I'd also like to introduce my colleagues, Michelle Garcia and Sequinder Sagu, who a lot of you may know by name, but have helped through the application process. So Michelle and Sequinder, do you want to say hello?
Sure, hi. Thank you, Liz. So I'm Michelle Garcia. I'm the Director of Admissions at FSPH, and it's such a great pleasure to be here tonight. I'm so happy to see our FSPH students as well as other members of the UCLA community, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. Welcome again.
Thanks, Michelle.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sequinder Sagu. I just wanted to welcome you to FSPH, and it's nice to see some of our students and putting face to their names. Once again, welcome.
Thank you. Anybody else from your team, Liz? Or does that?
Oh, that's everyone. Thank you, Dylan.
Oh, pleasure, our pleasure. Mark.
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Mark Hoven. I am the Director for Recruitment, Outreach, and Admission here in the School of Nursing. And I was scrolling through all the different faces, and I do see some faces, well, I see some names, and so it's really good to see some faces to the names, especially to our nursing students. But just wanted to say welcome, and I get giddy seeing everyone's faces, especially knowing that we're hopefully going to go back to in-person in the fall. So when that happens, I hope all the nursing students can stop by my office so we can formally introduce and see each other. But again, thanks for coming tonight, and hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. We were really thrilled as you and Oliver and Anna were able to bring your program's voices in this year. So thank you so much for being here. Oliver.
Hi, everyone. My name is Oliver Ike. I'm Associate Director of Admission and Recruitment for the Department of Social Welfare in the School of Public Affairs. I just want to actually congratulate you for showing up. Showing up is always the first step. So I know that everyone has Zoom fatigue big time at this point. So adding this to your plate, I commend you for your dedication, and I'm sure you'll get a lot out of it. So please enjoy the event. Hopefully you can come for labs 2 and 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Oliver. Sarika.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarika. I'm the Executive Director of Admissions with the Executive MBA program. Want to welcome everyone here. You know, as somebody who's worked at UCLA for 17 years, graduated from the School of Public Health, worked in the School of Medicine, and now am in Anderson School of Management. I am a big advocate for interdisciplinary work and teams. So really excited to be part of this event and welcome everyone here.
Thank you, Sarika. And before we let Gonzalo speak, I just will give a super short introduction because he's a very special person. He is my boss. He's the Associate Dean of the Executive and the Fully Employed MBA programs. He's a professor of accounting, and he's really the benefactor who allows me to spend time on this leadership, this interdisciplinary team. I've had the honor of working with and for Gonzalo since 2007, and I knew him for 5 years before that. He is a really special human being. Just super quick background story. I had the honor of interviewing him for my podcast a couple years ago. His family, unfortunately, was forced to flee Cuba from the communist regime in the early 60s. They arrived with everything they owned in 2 suitcases in Inglewood. And from those very shocking beginnings, he's now, really one of the primary voices and leaders of the Anderson School. In my opinion, a true American success story, an example of everything that we can do right when we work together and when we build bridges and not walls. So Gonzalo, on behalf of UCLA, if you would be so kind as to welcome us, and thank you for your support of this effort.
Sure, Dylan. Thank you for that kind introduction. I appreciate it. And yes, I am living the American dream. That is absolutely true. And I want to welcome all of you on behalf not only of UCLA Anderson, where I currently serve as Associate Dean for all our working professional programs. So that's about 1,100 students across our part-time and executive MBA programs. And I think something that is exciting about this, beside the fact that it's an interdisciplinary program, is that you're going to come to UCLA, which is best in class in terms of what you're going to learn, your technical skills, your professional skills, the academics, the curriculum, et cetera. But your success in life will be affected just as much by your network of people that you get to know and befriend and collaborate with along the way, and your own ability to inspire others, work well in a team, lead people, advocate on behalf of your patients and clients. And that starts today with this amazing network across these various graduate programs at UCLA, so that you can start building your Rolodex. And now I'm dating myself. I've been teaching at UCLA for more than 30 years. And in terms of developing your own personal leadership style. And leadership, I sum it up with one simple word, and I'm sure Khush will have a lot more to say that's much more informative and intuitive, but it's about self-awareness. And the more you know about yourself, the better you're going to be at being a leader. And so I'm very excited that you're all here today, and I hope you enjoy the program. And I know you'll be in great, great hands with Khush Cooper and Dylan and the rest of the team. Thank you.
Thank you, Gonzalo. And again, thank you for the support. You're always a yes to something new and creative. And it's an honor to get to work with you. And you were the perfect leader for these last 15 months. Anderson is, in my opinion, very lucky to have had your leadership. So if we could advance the slide, please. So my partner in this, and the person who will do the heavy lift tonight, is Dr. Khush Cooper, adjunct professor from the UCLA Luskin School of Public Affairs. I'm going to do about 5 more slides, and then you're going to get to meet Dr. Cooper. But just so you know who's leading the conversation tonight, she teaches a full version of this course, and tonight will be an extract from that as we talk about the power of context and how you can create a context for graduate school based on what you see for yourself tonight. Dr. Cooper, Khush, she and I are friends, is a social entrepreneur. In addition to being a professor, she's a social entrepreneur. She's a consultant in the child welfare systems, both public and private. Her specific areas of concern and impact are foster care reform, population outcomes for LGBTQ youth in the foster care system. She is a specialist in implementation science. She's also a specialist in leadership. And together, she and I will be presenting tonight. And it's just I took this course from Khush in her social welfare program with her MSW students in the winter of 2016. And I took the course to evaluate it as a possible elective for our MBA students. And lo and behold, it had a profound impact on me. It was a real opening experience, really humbling to think here I am in the middle of my career, and yet I could be impacted. And that's the joy of UCLA. You don't come out of UCLA the same version of you who went into UCLA. Your trajectory gets raised. And this material certainly did that for me. I wrote my second book. I launched a podcast. I've recorded 72 episodes in the last 4 years. And most shocking to my wife, I have gotten up at 5 o'clock or earlier every day for the last 5 years since I took this course, as I created a new context for my life. So no, if you're a sleep inner, don't get scared. You can still sleep in tomorrow. This is just a little snippet of her course, but the course was incredibly powerful. So you're not actually going to get to see Khush for a couple more slides, but that's who's coming. So if we could advance the slide, please. So as I said, this is number 1 of 3 leadership labs. Tonight, we're going to talk about the power of context, and we're going to show you a way to see context with new eyes, the way leaders see opportunities in life. And it's, the goal is not to give you something, but really to give you a chance to discover something for yourself, because what we discover sticks with us much longer than things that people tell us. So tonight is about the power of context, what makes extraordinary leaders, living life on the court versus in the stands, the power of context. And as we said in the opening, leadership begins with leading yourself. Then 2 weeks from tonight, if you enjoy what you benefit from tonight, then come back for more. The 4 foundational factors for being a leader, we'll cover that next time. Integrity, authenticity, a noble cause, being given, being an action by something bigger than oneself, and being cause in the matter. And then 4 weeks from tonight, June 30th, our 3rd and final leadership lab, we'll look at speech acts. Where does your word live? Speaking leadership, putting it all together, and hopefully launch you into this summer with a 1 degree higher trajectory as you aim your energy and your life at your graduate study here at UCLA. If we could move forward one more. Again, this is, as I said, this is a small extract of a full course that Dr. Cooper, that Khush teaches here at UCLA. It's going to be taught in summer session C this summer. We're very excited about that. I'm hoping that we're going to have some of our MBA students joining the MSB students, plus students from multiple programs around the campus. And these are the authors of the course. And Khush is one of the 60 faculty at about 90 universities around the world, or I may have that backward. It may be 90. I think it's 90 faculty at 60 universities around the world who are teaching this course. And UCLA is a leadership laboratory. As I said, 125 graduate programs of study, plus the most applied to undergraduate program in the nation. A universe is a coming together. It's a world unto itself, and UCLA is a very, very special world. If we could advance the slide, please. So how to listen tonight. I invite you to have fun tonight, and I invite you to try on a certain kind of listening. And I would invite you to listen like you're in a store, trying on a jacket. Do I like the cut? Is that a good color on me? Does that bring out my complexion, or does it wash me out? When you're in the store trying on a jacket, you're just trying it on. You don't have to believe in the jacket. It's not the truthful jacket of all time. You're trying on something. You're exploring. What does this bring out in me? And I invite you to listen that way tonight. Maybe Khush is going to bring up a little cognitive dissonance. Maybe she'll say something that's a little bit, well, that's not how I define leadership, or I've never seen it that way before. That's okay. Get ready for cognitive dissonance. UCLA and the faculty of UCLA are going to give you plenty of cognitive dissonance. That's what you're here for. We love to say at Anderson, this is an MBA cliche, but it applies across. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, right? There's going to be so many opportunities during your journey at UCLA to just be amazed and impressed and just astounded, not just at the faculty at the front of the lecture hall, but at your classmates left and right. So enjoy tonight. Sit with the dissonance, embrace it, pull it towards you. Have tonight be interactive. You're going to have 2 breakouts tonight. The first one will be about 10 minutes long, and then the second one will be with the same group of people towards the end, and we'll leave the Zoom room open. So if you want to talk a little longer, you're totally invited to do that. If you have to get off at 7:30, we totally understand. So don't believe anything we're saying tonight. This is not the truth about leadership. This is a powerful opening, a powerful way to look at leadership. And if you try it on like a jacket, does this fit for me? What could I see newly? Bringing that beginner's mind. If you listen that way tonight, our commitment is that you'll get some real value tonight. And we're going to get into more of that. Next slide, please. So that is what we're going to do tonight. The power of context. That is session 1. So we're about to send you to a breakout, but before we do that, I want to do a little poll. So if we could go forward one more, we'll actually go back to, where are you in the world? So I am now going to put on my glasses so I can see. This is a 3-question poll. I set this up right. You should be able to answer all 3 questions together. And this will just give us a little bit of a sense of where we are from, where we are now, and how prepared we are for graduate school right here on June 2nd. So if you could get where you could answer these 3 questions, I'll give you a second to get adjusted. We'll leave this open for not too long, but give everybody a chance to answer these 3 questions. Here we go. Oliver, are you guys seeing that okay? Okay, thank you. Oh, here we go. Yeah, it's recording. All right, I'm getting a sneak peek. I can see. Oh, some people tonight in Mexico or Canada, some people tonight Zooming from South America, some people Zooming from Asia. All right. Lots of people in California. Oh, I closed it. I don't know why it closed. Okay, well, I closed it. Let me share the results. All right, Oliver, are you able to see the results? Okay. Is it showing all 3 questions? All right. So if you look, you can see a lot of us were born in California. All right. How about that? A lot of people outside of California, Mexico or Canada, South America, Asia is well represented, Europe, the Middle East, Africa, no one from Australia, other. Oh no, did I leave off a did I leave off a continent? Okay. Maybe put it in the chat. What does other represent? Because I was trying to do this afternoon. I don't know what I left out. My apologies if I overlooked an entire continent. And then where people, oh, the Bahamas, very good. Thank you, Devon. Okay, yes. Oh my gosh. Oh, yes, very good. Oh, and I'm sorry if you had trouble submitting. My apology on that, Samantha. I don't know what I did wrong. And then where we are tonight. All right, California, 75%, US outside of California, 22%, 1% Mexico or Canada, 1% South America, 1% Asia. And then how prepared do you experience yourself to be to begin your graduate study? Not at all prepared, 8%. That's an okay place to be on June 2nd. Somewhat prepared, 54%. Prepared, 28%. I can start tomorrow, 8%. And then the bonus answer, huh? Am I going to graduate school this year? Okay, excellent. All right, well, thank you for playing that game. All right, so I will turn that off. And I'm sorry if you had trouble logging in. So if we could advance the slide. All right, so we're going to send you now into the first breakout. We're going to take about 10 minutes. Aaron on my team is graciously organizing the breakout rooms. And we're going to send you into rooms of about 5. And these will be the questions. You know, everybody should have a minute and a half or so. Obviously, your name, your program, why are you choosing to go to graduate school at UCLA, which program you're in. And tonight's about leadership. So without giving it, you know, no extra thought required, who is an extraordinary leader? And why do you think that they are extraordinary? So we want to even give you a chance to start looking at leaders. You know, who are people that stand out to you? President Obama, Nelson Mandela, Gandhi, Abraham Lincoln. It could be big leaders like that. It could be your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, a best friend. But share an example of an extraordinary leader, someone who's made a difference in your life, either directly or by example, and what it is about them that you see is extraordinary. So, Erin, I don't see you. So
I am ready to send folks into the breakout rooms if you are.
Okay, so it's about 5:56. So we'll go for about 10 minutes. So, maybe 9 minutes. So about 5 after the top of the hour, we'll come back. And if everybody can take a screenshot, hopefully this is pretty easy to remember. Your name, your program, why you're choosing graduate study at UCLA, and share an example of an extraordinary leader and why you think they are extraordinary. And most importantly, enjoy meeting some people from possibly your program or possibly across campus, but enjoy meeting some of the amazing people matriculating to UCLA here in 2021. All right, Erin, away we go.
Rooms are open.
All right, I think people are, I see the number going up. Welcome back. I'm at that age where I take off the glasses and everything goes fuzzy. So I have to keep putting them on to watch the number come up. All right, I think we have everyone back. I hope you enjoyed that. And those 4 or 5 other folks, you're going to get to see them again in about an hour, maybe a little sooner, as we go through the next part of the evening, which is going to be led by Khush, by Dr. Cooper. And it'll be fun to meet your new cross-campus colleagues again on the other side of the conversation that we are about to have, because it's a really powerful conversation. So before we move into that, we're going to do a quick word cloud. And the instructions are, if you go to menti.com and then use this code 3887-8422. So if you go to menti.com, menti.com, and then enter this code 3887-8422, and you can answer this question: what are 2 attributes of the leader that you shared about in your small group? And we will get to see the results come in real time. Did I leave anything out of the instructions? Okay,
Folks are asking for the code in the chat, Dylan.
You want me to put it in the chat?
Oh, that somebody actually just did. Thank you, Arnold.
Yes, thank you, Arnold.
Yep, it's menti.com, www.menti.com. Go there. And then they'll ask you for a code, put in those 8 digits, and then it'll take you to the question.
Thank you, George. Thank you, Sairam. We appreciate it.
All right.
So as it begins to receive your feedback, we should get a chance to see it.
Yeah,
here.
we should.
Jill, is it showing you anything on your side? Do we have to refresh?
Not yet, but I'll double check.
Khush, what do you think?
Well, I'm not sure why the word cloud isn't populating.
I'm seeing it now.
Oh, it's just starting? Okay.
Give you an option if you click on towards the bottom, there's that little kind of person symbol, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Ha
I got empathy, supportive, vision, visionary, caring, inspirational, humble, dedicated, integrity. We're going to talk about integrity today. Oh, well.
Oh, I love it.
I think got 147 folks that have officially put in. I think we can close the voting now. I don't see any more coming in. Okay. There's our word cloud. So visionary, empathetic, supportive leaders. And those seem to be the attributes that were most mentioned. All right. So let's keep moving. No. Come on, slide. Hold on. Advanced slide. Oh, it's still stuck on the word cloud. Hey, Jill, how do I get it to move on to the next slide? There we go. That's how. Somehow just keep clicking and it'll figure itself out some way, somehow. Good evening, everyone. Dylan, thank you for a powerful kickoff to our conversation, and my colleagues, all of us on the committee. Thank you so much for all the support in putting this presentation together and admitting hundreds and hundreds of new students to UCLA. So, you know, Dylan invited you to lead yourself to the best quarter of school you've ever had, right? And that is leading yourself, right? So leadership begins with leading yourself. If you cannot lead yourself to the gym at 6 a.m., you can forget about leading others, right? Start with you leading you, and then you will be equipped to lead others, right? So what better dry run to start leading yourself is leading yourself to the best quarter of school ever. All right, so let's talk about, you know, you all put words in the word cloud, and those are words that are often used to describe extraordinary leaders, right? But so what makes these extraordinary leaders extraordinary, right? Dylan mentioned some of them, Gandhi's, Mandela, you know, your parents, what makes, when they lead extraordinarily, what makes them extraordinary, right? What makes them be extraordinary? So there's two ways to answer the question. What makes an extraordinary leader extraordinary? And we're going to get into both of those. But before we do, I want you to try on the first jacket. Okay, try on the first jacket. Consider that knowing how to be a leader is not the same thing as being a leader. How do I know that? I do a search. You could do a search right now on Amazon for books on leadership. I think the last I checked, there's so many that it doesn't even give you an end number. It used to be in the 200,000s when I started teaching the course. So how come there's hundreds of thousands of books on leadership and the last 14 months panned out the way they panned out, right? How come there's all these books? Well, perhaps books aren't where one looks for being a leader. Perhaps being a leader is more like riding a bike, right? Ever tried to read a book about riding a bike and then try and ride a bike? It won't work, right? You have to get on, you have to start pedaling, and you have to experience balance. So that's what leadership's like. So I said there are two ways to answer the question. What makes an extraordinary leader extraordinary? So I can answer the question from the stands or on the court. And I'm going to just distinguish those two. What do I mean by in the stands versus on the court? So this being, right, the being of being a leader and the actions of effective leadership can be accessed and researched or taught either, right? And so this is the in the stands piece, as being an action or observed and commented on from in the stands, right? So, you know, there are probably some of you in the audience have played professional sports or competitive sports at least, right? So those of you, think back to when you're playing competitive sports, right? There in the stands are the fans, right? And on the court is where the game is happening, right? So in the stands, being in action are observed and commented on, right? Like, call a better play. Ref, are you crazy? Right? It's observed by someone, described, interpreted, and explained. In the stands provides third-person theories. It gives you an epistemological or theoretical grasp of something, and it leaves you knowing. An in the stands approach leaves you knowing. Not bad, just not on the court where the game is happening, right? So we could look on the court. And so on the court, being in action are actually experienced by the folks that are playing the game on the court. It's an actually lived real-time phenomenon. It's a first-person experience of something. And it gives you an ontological, phenomenological grasp, and that leaves you being. Let me just tell you a little bit about what I mean by those very long $15 words, ontological and phenomenological. Ontology is the study of being, right? So what is this being? Go be a leader. What do folks mean? It's the study of being, and phenomenological, phenomenology is the study of the as-lived phenomenon of something. So the ontological, phenomenological model to approaching the cultivation of leadership, it's the study of being as it is actually unfolding as lived on the court, the being of a leader. All right, so there's two ways to answer that question. All right, so now I'm going to answer the question from the stands, which is where most folks answer this question from. Okay, so when you answer from the stands, right, whatever folks say has an assumption that extraordinary leaders have something inside them that makes them extraordinary. They're either born with it, they born into a family of leaders, they're just genetically predisposed to leadership. There's something inside them, right? And so then we look at these great leaders that have something inside them that makes them extraordinary leaders. Right? And we looked at those like leadership ingredients, right? And then we start to learn about these characteristics and styles, and we start to emulate. All right, so that's what leadership, the cultivation of extraordinary leadership looks like from the stands. Right? Okay, how do you answer from the court? Well, when you answer from the court, it sounds something like this. Extraordinary leaders from the court begins with the realization that these folks, these leaders, the extraordinary leaders, they're ordinary people like you and me, right? So if you are to experience being a leader and effectively exercise leadership on the court, right? You're going to have to start with the realization that these extraordinary leaders are ordinary people like you and me, right? They have bad breath in the morning. They argue with their mom. They leave their socks on the floor, right? They're ordinary people like you and me. Okay. Well, okay. So then what makes these ordinary people like you and me, Khush, such effective leaders? Right. Makes them, well, so this is another jacket moment. Consider that what makes them so effective is that they see, comprehend, and interact with life differently than most of us do. They see differently. So could the world actually occur differently for extraordinary leaders? Could the world actually look different to them? So try on that maybe leadership is less about what you know, right, from reading a book, and more about how you see. And I use see loosely. I include seeing and hearing and processing as part of seeing. Okay, so perhaps maybe it's about how you see. Let's take a look. All right, so here's another consider. And this might be a little bit of cognitive dissonance, might not. So you and me sitting in our chairs, right? We don't interact with the situation at hand. Okay, so you actually don't interact with the situation you're in. What we respond and react to is not the situation, but the way the situation occurs for us. And that occurring of that situation is idiosyncratic. That means it is unique to me. My occurring of the situation is unique to me. All right. So we've got the facts of a situation, right, which you are not interacting with. As much as you think you are, you're not. You are actually interacting with how the facts occur for you. All right. So I'm going to give you an example to illustrate this point. So I was, Dylan mentioned, I'm a social entrepreneur and a consultant, and I was invited by the LA LGBT Center to support them to get into a completely new area of business, foster care, right? And to help them design a county-wide support program for LGBTQ youth who are embroiled in some way in the child welfare system, okay? So I agreed, and we started to design a program, and we started to look to the county to fund it. This was around 2008, 2009. If you all recall, we were in the middle of a recession. And the county usually doesn't have a whole bunch of money laying around. They for sure didn't have a whole bunch of money laying around in 2008, 2009. So here we were. The center's trying to do something really impactful for youth that are in inhospitable conditions in the foster care system, rejected, harassed, that the center's trying to help. There's no funding. The center's even considering things like, well, do we need to do a class action lawsuit, right? There's no funding. And quite by luck, I encounter this federal grant that comes across my desk. Okay. $13 million over 5 years. That was going to solve the financial concern we were having. $13 million over 5 years to create a practice that reduces barriers to permanency, barriers to having a forever home for LGBTQ youth in the child welfare system. It's a windfall. Anybody who's written a federal grant know that you need every second of the 6 weeks they give you to write that thing. There were 2 weeks left in the grant announcement. So here we were, we've got this grant, there's money, we could stop arguing. We got 2 weeks, okay? What are we gonna do? All right, so there's the situation. So present the grant to the chief of staff, says, great, let's talk to the team about it, right? Because ultimately the team's gonna have to do the heavy lifting, both writing the grant and then implementing the program. So let's go ahead and get their buy-in. So the conversation initially sounded something like this is going to be an uphill battle, okay? And there were all sorts of reasons why this was going to be an uphill battle. Well, the organization that used to house all the children, all the LGBTQ youth in the same organization has closed. The children are scattered all over the county now. County's saying they have no funds, right? So it's going to be all up to us. We've never been in the business of minors. You know, we're a community-based adult LGBT center. We've certainly not been in the business of other people's children, right? Public child welfare. This is a federal grant. They're going to need an evaluation, pretty rigorous one. We don't have any internal research infrastructure, Khush, right? And besides, there's 2 weeks left, 2. We have to choose in or out. What are we going to do? Right. So remember, there's the facts of the situation, but then there's how the situation occurred. Right. So there's the facts. They had the experience they had. There was the time left that there was. They had the infrastructure they had. The county had the limits it had. Those are the facts. Right. But those facts occurred for them as pointless. It's pointless to do this. It's impossible. We're in no position. It's going to be a mistake. This is not a priority for us at the moment. We have plenty of other irons in the fire. Right? So the team said, no, I don't think we should do this. So now I have to go tell the chief of staff that the team said no. So I go do that. And I mean, you know, he's still there, an amazing, amazing leader. He said, that's not acceptable. Not acceptable. I'm disappointed. I wish they'd made a different choice. This is not acceptable. So he walks into the room. Okay. And this is what he tells the team. Sounds something like every day. Look, the gay and lesbian adolescent social services where Khush used to work, it's gone, right? It's gone. The children are scattered. We have their data. We have the lessons they've learned. This grant announcement actually has LGBTQ youth called out in the announcement, right? This is who we want to help. We know is applying, right? We've got the consultants, but most importantly, every day that goes by that we sit here and squabble about whether we're going to go for a grant or not, or if we're going to build a program or not, those youth are sitting, being rejected in inappropriate placements every day. Okay, that's what he said. All right, the facts, they're the same. Facts did not change when he walked into that room. Same experience, same time, same infrastructure, same old county. All right. However, the occurring shifted after every day into, well, if not us, who? If not now, when? Right? It's up to us. There's nobody else coming. Every day, and every day we don't do something, a child is in pain. So what was the answer? The new answer was yes. Yes, we changed our mind. We're going to do this. And guess what we did? We actually got it in early. I mean, like a day early. It was the highest scoring proposal in the nation. It was the highest, and it still is, the highest amount of money ever given to an LGBT cause by the federal government. It gave LGBTQ youth and their needs a national spotlight. Every time the Obama administration got criticized for not being supportive to LGBTQ folks for some reason or the other, if he pointed the grant, right? We got the county to support us. We got the juvenile court to support us. And in 2 weeks, we had 19 agency and community partners at the table, signed on, ready to go. Every day. Leaders, great leaders, extraordinary leaders are actually extraordinary masters of context. So by shifting the context or how a situation occurs for a team, the actions that team takes and the results that teams generates will be markedly different. And that's what every day we shifted the occurring, right? And the actions markedly different. So again, back to this, it's not what you maybe, it's not what you know in this business of leadership, it's how you see. All right, so let's deepen this a little further. Consider that, and we've talked about a person's way of being and acting, your way of being and acting is correlated, and by correlated, I don't mean statistics, I just mean in a dance with. So your way of being and acting is in a dance with the way in which what you are dealing with occurs for you. Okay, so your way of being and acting is correlated or in a dance with the way what you are dealing with shows up for you. Okay, all right. So then it would follow from that. Well then, Khush, then what shapes the way in which something occurs for me? So then how does this happen? And moreover, is there a specific then occurring that one has to have for being a leader and exercising leadership effectively? Right? Yes, here's the answer. One's occurring is shaped by context. Okay, so every situation you deal with shows up for you in some context or the other, whether you're aware of it or not. The situation we are in right now, right, is shaped by the context of a leadership lab on a Zoom with folks that admitted you, right? So your way of being and acting is correlated with the context, right? You've got yourself on mute, you'll put things in the chat, the context supports you to know what to do. Okay, so context, very helpful, right? They make the world intelligible. Otherwise it'd be all this mass data coming at us, right? It gives us it shapes the way in which a situation occurs for us. And consequently, the way we interact with the situation. You could think of it as a lens, but your context is a lens through which you see the world, others, and yourself. You have a context for yourself that governs your way of being. And here's what contexts do. They're shortcuts in some ways. They highlight some aspects, they dim other aspects, and they blank out other aspects. Depending on the context you have, you may not even be seeing something. You may be blind to it completely. Okay, so I'm going to give you a demonstration, right? You don't have to believe, right? Don't believe. Just check out for yourself, discover for yourself. Dylan, will you read that paragraph for me?
I surely will. A newspaper is better than a magazine. A seashore is a better place than a street. At first, it is better to run than to walk. You may have to try several times. It takes some skill, but it is easy to learn. Even young children can enjoy it. Once successful, complications are minimal. Birds seldom get too close. Rain, however, soaks in very fast. Too many people doing the same thing can also cause problems. One needs lots of room. If there are no complications, it can be very peaceful. A rock will serve as an anchor. If things break loose from it, however, you will not get a second chance.
Yeah, makes perfect sense, right? It doesn't make any sense. This paragraph is nonsense. Okay, and this is actually how the world is, right? It's all this jumbled data coming at you that your brain has to handle. Watch this. Okay, this makes no sense. And if it makes sense to you, come talk to me afterwards. Now watch this. Ready? Now read it silently to yourself. So you get the picture, right? You get the picture. I gave you context to view something that was unintelligible, right? And all of a sudden, snapped into place, right? Context, critical, right? Critical to make sense of the world. However, come with side effects, right? Side effects are, you're not going to see everything. We say in the course that context is decisive, which means that it's got the power to shape and color the way a situation you are dealing with occurs or shows up for you, right? It's decisive in determining, so therefore it's decisive in determining your way of being and acting, right? So you think that you made the choice to put something in the chat, right? Perhaps you didn't. Perhaps the context is what had you put something in the chat, right? Context is decisive. You could said another way, you could say that the context uses you in that it shapes your being and acting. Like you don't use it, it uses you. Ben Libet did an experiment where he hooked folks up to an fMRI and he studied decision making, right? Like, so what he saw was that in some cases, a brain pattern was in action up to 9 seconds. I mean, if you take, like, count 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 seconds before the person who had that brain had the experience of choosing to act. That action was already in motion. It's called a readiness potential before the experienced choice in the matter, right? The context is decisive. Right? The context already has you ready to act and be a particular way before you have the experience of choosing it, right? And there's two, the way we hold it, there's two kinds of this context that folks have. They fall into 2 large categories. We call those the default context and a created context. So there's 2 possibilities. You're going to have a context one way or the other, and it's either going to be a default context or a created context. All right. A default context is, so to speak, it just comes automatically with the conditions of a situation you're dealing with. Right. So, you know, you registered, you signed up, and boom, you know, here you are, you're in a webinar, there's slides, right? There's a professor pontificating, right? Okay, that's a default automatically. You didn't choose to have that context appear. It just appeared, right? Default contexts are the ones that automatically come with a situation pop, right? They are usually constructed out of the past, right? Your brain has an experience in the past that it's going to use, right, to create a context for the present. And those are usually default contexts. Contrasting with the default context is a created context. It's not automatic, right? It's actually something created intentionally. And it's not, it doesn't come from the past. A created context gets created standing in the future you want to see happen, right? And then bring that back, that context to shine light on the present. Okay, so that's a created context. Created contexts are powerful in that they reveal what might have been hidden or obscured from view using the default context. And a critical part of leadership, we find, is actually having folks replace you have a default context for leader, right? It was in the word cloud. It's a bit of a trick question, right? That's your default context for leader and leadership, right? It's not a created context yet, right? You could create it, and you may use some of the same words, but that default context. So the key to effective leadership is replacing your default context for leadership with a created context. All right. So context is decisive. I'll tell you another story. So I think we're doing okay on time. Darlene Bateson did a study in 1973 where they studied seminarians, and these seminarians, here was the social experiment. Put them in a classroom in their seminary and told them the Good Samaritan parable. Right? And they were told the parable, and they said, okay, you all have to go do a talk on this parable in that building over there on campus. Here's the map. Okay. They told half of the seminarians that they were just get there as soon as you can. Here's your map. You got to go give the talk. The other half, they told them that they were late. Okay. And so now you've got the late seminarians and the ones that are just going to give their talk on time. And what the researchers did was they put a slumped over man groaning, who obviously needed help of some sort, in the pathway between where they were in the classroom and where they had to go. And they stopped to see, well, who helps? These are seminarians, right? It's their vow in life to help people, right? So turns out only 10% of the seminarians who thought they were late stopped to help. 10%. I find this other statistic actually a little more shocking, which is that only 63% of the folks that weren't late stopped to help, right? But the story illustrates that, your heart, right? The convictions of your heart, right, aren't what actually rule the day on the court moment to moment. It's the context, right? The seminarians walk right by a person needing help because they were late and they had to give their talk. Context is decisive. Okay, so let's see if we can apply context as decisive to you. Right? Let's see if we can give you the power of context to support you to lead yourself to the best graduate quarter ever. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a question, all right? And I want you to think, I want you to answer. Okay. So when does your UCLA degree begin? Okay. Okay. So if I'm going to answer using a default context, hey, hey guys, when does school start? When does school start? Dylan, when does school start?
Our first day of orientation is August 30th.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So school starts August 30th, right? Yeah. That's a good answer, right? Default. some version of someday, right? It's certainly not today. All right. So that's when the school began, August 30th. Okay. Now, notice what shifts. If you can shift that default context, the thing that everybody knows, right? School starts when it starts. Create the context that your degree begins now, 6:46 p.m. on June 2nd, now. Okay. Notice what might shift. Dylan?
All right, Khush. You know, this showed up for me. Well, we can go back. Let's go back to the.
Sorry. Yeah.
So I've been admission director, dean of admissions, however you frame it, for this 18 or 19 years. And about 3 years ago, I got the opportunity to counsel some of our MBA students who were on academic probation. And my context was, oh, I bet these are people where I took a chance and I really, you know, went outside of our normal parameters. You know, we fell in love with their story, or they just had some, you know, but I bet these were people who, you know, did not have maybe the best undergraduate transcript, or maybe their standardized test score was not a really top score. That was my context. My context was, oh, I bet these are the people that, you know, that maybe we took a stretch on. What I actually discovered, these people had great grades. They had great GMATs. What they had not prepared for was, in our program, the fully employed MBA program, you're a full-time working professional. You still have your husband or wife or significant other, or, you know, you still have the life you had before grad school, and you're going to carve out 20, 25 hours a week for the 2 or 3 years of the program. And what I discovered, that these folks, it was nothing about their ability. These were good, solid, good undergrad GPA, high test score members of the student body. What I discovered, they had not prepared for the speed of going back to grad school. And they had some unplanned outlier. One gentleman pulled his shoulder and had to have unexpected surgery. Another person had a boss who left and got what is usually a good thing, got a on-the-spot promotion, but all of a sudden was managing 3 times the staff, different shifts, a tremendous amount of complexity, while also going to UCLA. Another person had a pregnancy, unexpected, unplanned, welcome, but the timing was not anticipated. None of these 3 cases, and there were more, but what was in common, they hadn't planned for a rainy day. They hadn't prepared, how am I going to do this when I have a quote unquote flat tire in life? They hadn't planned for a flat tire. And a lot of the work that we did, it wasn't to teach them study habits. It was, hey, who can you invite into your circle newly so that your graduate, so you can get back, you can air up this flat tire, you can get your graduate school car in motion heading down the freeway again. And none of these people needed a lesson in time management. None of these people needed me to help them make a prioritized list. These were graduate students at UCLA. They were totally capable. But the context that they walked in here with was the context that got them through undergrad. If I just put my head down, be smart, work hard, everything will work out. But that context was insufficient for graduate school. And they what we worked on was their contexts. What if instead of me as an individual contributor, what if my success in graduate school is much more a function of leadership and enrolling people around me? And I invited them to actually ask for support. Who is your biggest champion? Is it your sister? Okay, how can your sister support you? Is it your mother? How can your mom? Is it your father? Is it your boss? These were people who were working full time. And the context shifted from, I got this handled, I can do this on my own, to I'm going to graduate school while I maintain a job. I've never done this before. I'm playing a big game. I want to be a CEO someday, and I have to start with being CEO of my own life. And CEOs don't do everything. They delegate. They ask for help. They have boards of directors. They surround themselves with other people's excellence such that their decisioning is not just how smart they are, but it becomes a function of the circle that they surround themselves with. And all of these folks put in the hours, they put in the effort, they came off academic probation, 100% success rate. They all earned their UCLA graduate degree, in our case, the MBA. And the person who graduated was not the person who matriculated. They were a bigger, better version. And one of the impactful crucible learnings that actually elevated their lifetime performance, the eye of the needle was what seemed to be I mean, none of these people were ever on academic probation in undergrad. These were good UCLA grad students. This was shocking, embarrassing, humbling for them. But they also were big people with big games. And they ask, well, what do I do? How do I get this back together? So and again, I didn't have anything to tell them about the mechanics of studying. What we talked about was the context of being a big human being, playing a big game with a big commitment. People get MBAs because they want to run stuff. Our doctors, our dentists, you guys are nurses, you guys want to heal. Our public health folks, you want to build systems that work. Our social welfare students here tonight, you all want to do an intervention and have a family heal, get better. None of us are here tonight because we think this is just a looky-loo thing to do. You're about to put a tremendous amount of the prime years of your life into the trusting hands of UCLA with a commitment to be the bigger, better version of yourself that you don't know how to be without a trusted partner. So the context that we are offering you tonight is the context of my graduate study begins tonight, 5:30 p.m. on June 2nd. What is available? I have June, I have July, I have August, I have September, somewhere in there, orientation, onboarding activities, fall quarter, end of September, October, and then the rocket ship launches. But what if I launch my rocket ship tonight? What might be different? If you look, actually look, what could you discover? What I discovered with my exercise with working with academic probation is people need a big context for grad school. And that's what we're about tonight. What's a context that's worthy of your deep commitment? Because I don't want you to hold your breath and run like heck for the years of graduate. You know, all of these programs represented tonight, these are all marathons. There's not a sprint here. These are all marathons. And to run the marathon, you surround yourself with a team. And you surround yourself with a team of people committed to what you're committed to, which is going that long distance, even when it gets tough, especially when it gets tough. So Khush, that's what I would share about shifting a context. So anything that you would underline?
Yeah, so just so start to we're gonna put you into breakout sessions to sort of think to dialogue this out loud. Life actually happens out here in dialogue. That that voice in your head, dangerous. Right? So talk to the colleagues
What
in your
voice?
group.
What voice? I don't have a voice in my head.
That voice. That voice that just said, what voice in my head? So what tomorrow, there you go. Tomorrow, just imagine tomorrow you got to go to school, right? What would have to be in place? What would have had to be in place for you? So start to put those things in place. Now ask yourself, what would have to be in place, right? Because your degree just started. So Dylan, shall we send folks? Should we thank them and tell them when our next labs are and then send them into their breakout?
Yes, yes. On behalf of our committee, Dean Freixes, especially Dr. Khush, thank you for bringing some of this content. Khush is doing this pro bono. She could be out making a difference with the youth of Los Angeles County, and she's making a difference with the youth of Los Angeles County. And she has her own family. She has 3 children. She has a full life, and she's doing this pro bono for 8 of the 125 graduate programs of study at UCLA. I am honored to be your partner in this, Khush. UCLA has made history for 102 years. We're just getting started. And those of you here tonight, trusting us with an hour and a half, 2 hours of your life, you're the future. You are the people who are going to run the world that my children will grow up in. And my commitment is to pay it forward to you, that you pay it forward to them, that they pay it forward 7 generations on into the future. So tonight was 1 of 3. We come back together 2 weeks from tonight, June 16th, 5:30 to 7:30. We'll have the second installment of 3, and Wednesday, June 30th, 5:30 to 7:30. We'll have the 3rd installment, and we'll send you into the summer with a really powerful, you can use it right now, right here, today, tomorrow, tool that will empower you this summer. But for now, this will be it from hearing from us, but we're going to send you back into that same wonderful, randomly distributed group of fellow UCLA graduate students, but we're going to send you back in a new context with the invitation to be in a new context, with the invitation to live in a created context that my graduate school starts now. And it's not about winning against your peers. The only person you want to compete with is being a better version of you tomorrow than you today. Keep the competition right here. There's enough to work with right in this. This is the project. I'm going to be one of those classmates who brings people with. As I struggle and stretch and grow, I'm going to bring people with left and right of me, and we're going to go together. We're going to run a marathon, and we're going to arrive together. That's the kind of leader we're inviting you to relate to yourself as. So if your graduate program begins now, what would there be to address? Would it be your schedule? We all get 168 hours in a week. No one gets 1 hour extra. What would I do with 168 hours? What would I start to let go of to free up the space and the energy that I want to give to my graduate experience? I want to have the best start. I'm a person who's done really well in academics, but never grad school, never UCLA, never fall of 2021. So what would you do with your schedule? What would you do? What could you do newly? Do you have a calendar that tells you where you need to be and when you need to be there? So you can look at time. You can look at people. I gave the example of academic probation, fully employed MBA students who have a bad shoulder. They get a promotion at work. Somebody I love, myself, or very close to me is pregnant unexpectedly right now. And what got me through undergrad is insufficient for the speed of graduate school. Who could I invite to be my support? Who could I ask for support now when I don't yet need it? So that when I'm having that flat tire moment, 3 months or 6 months or 9 months from now, I've already got a lifeline. So there's time, there's people, and then there's the physicality of my life. Is my laptop ready to go? Do I have space in my apartment? Do I even have my apartment? Right? What are the foundational elements? Do I have roommates conducive? My husband, my wife, my boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other. So you can look at time, you can look at people, and you can look at place. You can look at physicality. Is my car, am I going to be able to listen to lectures that I recorded the prior lecture? Can I listen to that as I commute across town? If grad school started tonight, what is there to do in the month of June so that when I hit September, I'm already at a higher velocity, at a higher trajectory? Our famous Coach Wooden said, failing to prepare is preparing to fail. We are committed, all of the directors and deans and faculty and staff here tonight, none of us want anything other than for you to win. We want you to look in the mirror December 15th, end of term, and good job. You are in this. You are on the court. Good job. That was a little bumpy. That was a little scary. That was like a roller coaster. But what do we say about a roller coaster? The only time you get hurt is if you get off before the ride comes to a full, complete stop. We want you enjoying the roller coaster ride, even with the twists and the turns and the stomach churning speed ups and the slowdowns. We want you in the car, on the court, high trajectory, high velocity towards your committed future. Okay? So that's our invited context. What if graduate school started tonight?
Yeah, and when you hit graduate school, it's rare to you get into your world, into your silo, and it's really hard to make cross-campus connections with other graduate students. And so you're going to be in breakout sessions with graduate students from other programs, right? And so you have this opportunity to build bridges that you wouldn't normally, because folk, you show up and the ride starts. So take advantage of that.
The bonus assignment, which we forgot to put in the slide, you guys tonight, your 4 or 5 other folks, you could actually meet between now and the next session. You could do a little Google Hangout next, you could pick a time. You don't have to. This is all bonus.
Or text exchange.
Text exchange. You could share LinkedIn profiles. MBAs, we're all about LinkedIn. I don't know if medicine is such a big deal, right? But you could actually, if there's a little chemistry tonight, you could play a game. Like, what's one action that you could take between now and 2 weeks from now? And maybe you could support each other in that. I'm going to get rid of this. I got this 7-year-old laptop. It's on its last leg. I need a new laptop. I'm going to get that handled between now and then. It could be something physical like that. I'm going to call my mom and say, you know what, Mom? I'm about to go to grad school, but you're my North Star. And my request is that we have a committed brunch one Sunday a month while I'm in school. And I would really like us to treat that like Christmas and birthday and Yom Kippur and everything, like the most holy holiday that you and I honor, because I am going to need you. And I just want to flat out ask it now, because I don't want to survive grad school. I want to dance and thrive in grad school. So you could have that conversation, and you could, if you wanted, you could support each other in that. You don't have to. No stress. But like an opportunity, like if my grad school started tonight, maybe these 4 people that I'm in this little group with, maybe there's more here than I met an hour ago. Maybe these folks, as Khush just said, that's kind of cool. I'm over here in Anderson doing the management thing. That's kind of neat to know somebody in public health or dentistry or medicine or nursing or the financial engineering. That's all pretty neat. Like, UCLA, this universe.
Yeah.
And I just was flipping through these thank yous. Oh my goodness, you guys are so kind. And you are welcome and welcome and welcome and welcome.
Yep.
Thank you. Those are that never happened last year. I guess we didn't leave time for that. That's very generous and it matters and we deeply appreciate it. But we're here tonight for you. So that's the most empowering thing for us. Being a faculty or a staff member at UCLA is an honor because we get to work with people's futures and we don't take that for granted.
So
Okay.
shall we send them off into their groups?
We're standing at the ready.
All right. We'll see you in a couple of weeks, folks. Welcome to grad school.
Welcome.